All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and dig right into it. So this is Kirk Franklin. Apparently, he has his new show. This new show, podcast, whatever you want to call it. Dens of Kings. Apparently, he has guys. I'm assuming black men that that comes in, talks, all that good jazz. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So who he has today is KevOnStage, Ray J, Dr. J Barnett, and Jonathan Majors, and NLE the Great. The topic is on mental health. Sorry. Let's go ahead and get right into it.
What makes you have the most joy?
That question, man, is
okay. I know that's Ray J. I think this is the Barnett guy. Now the light skinned dude that we just saw, that's NLE or whatever, and we know Kirk and Majors. We know Majors.
to a black man, Kirk. He has to pause. Notice everybody's body language.
Why is that?
Because we often are not the receptors of happiness and joy. We're often looking to provide it for someone else. And we don't really know what that is, because a lot of times we don't get the opportunity to just be. So for me at 43, I've learned that my happiness is just me being able to just be, where I'm not providing, where I'm not performing, I'm not talking, I'm not being someone giving a clinical analysis to their crisis. It's where I can just be, where I'm just settled into me.
When do you find yourself, Ray J, most happy?
I find myself most happy when everybody got a room at the hotel.
Break that down.
Meaning, like, if everybody got a room at the hotel, I sleep in the car.
Okay, now break that down.
What? Ray J? Oh my God! Look, I don't know. Ray J be throwing me off sometimes. I don't know what's been going on with him lately. He's kind of like Kanye light. I don't know what the heck it is. But the few times that I've been seeing Ray J, especially like on TV shows or like podcasts or whatever it is, he's saying something wild, and maybe it's something deeper than what I understand. Maybe I'm just too dense to understand, or I'm not as, deep as he is, whatever it is. But I don't know what this guy be talking about sometimes nowadays. I don't know what this guy's talking about. But what old boy said, Doc said, Dr. Barnett, what he said was very true, and I think a lot of people undermine that way too much, especially when it comes to men. So I think wives undermine that way too much. It's a level of not having to do that men strive for. Not necessarily strive for, but we true men, or let me not say true men that like really understand what their duty is. There's always going to be a point where you can just not do anything. Because when you're constantly working, you're constantly doing this, you're constantly doing that, you're constantly providing for the family, you're constantly providing for other people, you're constantly giving advice, you're constantly, going to work, trying to do better at work, fend for your family, take care of your family, this, that, you're trying to do all these things. There's becomes a point where you just like, when you have an opportunity to just do nothing, it's like the utmost peace. And a lot of people always give me flack every time when it's like, what's that day? That holiday that nobody really cares for. Father's Day, yeah. Anytime somebody is, coming to me asking me, yo, what you want for Father's Day, this and the third, I'm like, I want to be left at home alone. That's what I want. Because when you really think about it, Father's Day always consists of either them buying gifts that normally the father doesn't care too much about, or it's not something that he actually wants, but it's a nice gift, so he keeps it. Or they end up trying to do something like take the father out somewhere that they'll enjoy, but really the father's just trying to chill. I'm that father that really I'm just trying to chill. I'm trying to relax. I'm not a deadbeat dad. I'm not a dad that's like always absent and stuff like that. I'm not a dad that's like not present in everything that's going on in your life. So if you're going to give me one day, give me a day away from you. But, and I know that sounds mean, but it's really just a matter of a level of peace, a level of not doing. So when we have those opportunities, those few minutes, those few moments where we're just not thinking. And then those women that like to ask questions, what do you think about? And the guy's just like, nothing. They're like, how can you not be thinking about nothing? Yo, when you don't have to think about anything, especially the way the gears in my head just like constantly running, when I don't have to think about anything, it is life. It is life, and I don't even know. And by the time I realize it, it's already gone. So no, I definitely feel a homeboy in that part. Like there's that, but the thing is, we can't stay there too long because there's stuff that got to be done. Life continues; it doesn't stop. So that moment, enjoy that moment because we got to get back on the grind. Thanks to Adam and Eve, there's a life that we live, guys.
And like certain people gotta fill certain positions, so I gotta make sure everybody good. When everybody good and everybody settled in,
Okay,
I'm like, man, I'm happy.
Got you. Your happiness comes when you're able to take care of everybody else.
But my most happiness is with my kids though.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Like,
How many kids you have?
2, 5, and 7. They at my house now, and they don't never want to leave.
Wow.
I be telling my baby mama like, yo, if the kids crying because they want to stay with me, it ain't a bad thing. Let them cry and then let them take them home. But you know what I'm saying? Don't take away from like them just wanting to be with me too. You know what I'm saying? They sad they gotta leave.
Does anybody else have kids at the table?
Yeah, I got 2 kids. I think that's the happiness for me is very specific when we go to the movies as a family a lot. And when we are walking back from the theater.
It's not about Kevin. I don't want to dig too deep into it, but like, I don't know. There's something about certain actors, certain comedians when they, and maybe it's because I take, the body of Christ seriously, that when they joke about the body of Christ, I tend to not find it all that funny. But I don't know. Maybe I could just be. Y'all let me know if I'm just digging too deep into it. But that's just how I feel.
To the car, and we're like, what was your favorite part? Oh, I like this part. Like that's.
Kev's a very family oriented guy, and I do appreciate that about him. Some of the things when it comes to the faith, questionable from my perspective, but I mean, everybody's at their own level. And I mean, I could just pray that God reveals more to them. Ultimately, that's all I could do. I'm still gonna say something, but who am I?
It's a great memory that we've replicated so many times. Yeah. And it's so specific, even if the movie sucks, we're like, actually, there was nothing good about that movie. You know what I'm saying? But that little walk to the car where we're all together and we just experienced something together, that's a very happy moment for me.
What about you, Jonathan? What makes you happy?
Well, I'm very happy right now.
Why?
Well, I will say that a wise man once said, when you're happy, it's because you got something happening.
What is that wise man's name? What's the name?
Kirk Franklin.
Oh my gosh. That's great.
No, it's gnarly, right? So like,
you said gnarly.
I've been in such a state of joy. I know we're talking about happy.
Yeah.
Right?
But there's a difference in this.
There is a difference,
There's a huge difference. Oh my gosh. This man's already spent. There's a huge difference between joy and happiness. And it's crazy because we were literally, so in my Bible study group, we were literally just talking about this recently, yesterday, actually, depending on what day it is. This was on Wednesday that we had Bible study, and we're talking about the first book of James. And then they're talking about having joy in your trials because it builds that steadfastness. It helps build, that faith and all that. And then we were looking up the difference between joy and happiness. When you have joy, it's a state of being that you're in, that is within you, that just never changes. You're just at peace. There's a gentleness and nothing phases you. You're unmovable. Your mood is unmovable. I mean, things may happen left and right, but at the end of the day, You can smile. You can sleep. You're not worried about this. You're not worried about that. This is this just a different level and a different feeling that you have. When you're happy, there's things on the outside that make you happy. Playing video games makes me happy. Going out and hooping with my friends makes me happy. But those are only temporary, because when that's done, that happiness is gone. And I have to go and do something else in order to be happy again. But when you have joy, ain't nothing gonna take that away. Yo, this man. All right, let me see what he got to say. Let's keep going, yo.
But because the joy has been so deep, I find that happiness is easily achieved.
Yes.
I'm kind of happy a lot of the day.
Yeah.
Not just because of my medication. You know what I mean? Like I'm happy. I'm happy most of the day. Most of the time.
Hold on. Wait a minute. You just, okay. So thank you, King. Do you know what they call Do you know what they call psychiatrist shrinks?
No.
Because that's the nickname term for really, like y'all don't know what they call shrinks. The reason why psychiatrists are called shrinks is because it is their job to shrink the problem.
Yes. Oh, wow.
So when you go in with, life is crazy. You know how you go to how you go to a therapy. Like I've been going to therapy since I was 28 years old, right? And you're going, life is, and their job is to shrink the problem.
Wow.
That's what they call shrink. But he just did something with humor that shrunk something, and he slid it in. And did y'all catch it?
Yeah.
He mentioned being on medicine.
Yeah.
But you did it in just such a loose way.
Slid it in, like.
Yeah, no.
Let me get some.
No, that was mad crazy.
I know.
Mad crazy.
And I love how you did it, because
Like-
there's often a negative connotation to when someone is medicating. And particularly in the black community, you know this, Kirk, because
Why?
again, in the church, if you can't pray it away, definitely taking medicine means that your Holy Ghost or that your salvation ain't as strong as you say it is. But we need medication as much as we need therapists, as much as we need coaches and teachers and all those different things. They're all stabilizers. Because if I can take something that can offset and pause within my neurotransmitter, which is basically allowing me to move smoothly through my day to where I'm not having a psychotic breakdown or not having a meltdown, give it to me. Because oftentimes when we're looking at mental health issues, most of them are genetically passed down.
Tell them real quick your background. Tell them how you got here, just in case y'all don't know my man's. And I want you to tell them that real 100.
So, was a free agent in the NFL, got sent home.
Eat.
And
I had a little rice. It was so serious. I've been waiting for the food.
Eat.
Yeah, I want to make sure.
I want to know your story though.
Yeah.
But just while you talking, I'm gonna get some of the
Yeah. So, man, went home and attempted to take my life. So I was a cutter. My dad was a pastor, and my parents divorced, and I started cutting at 13. And every time something would happen, I was always cut. And it was funny because well, not funny, but my sister saying, I always wondered what was the marks on your arms when we would come see you in college, because to understand self-harm is that I was allowing myself to cause physical pain to numb the pain that I was dealing with on.
My goodness. My goodness. Wow. It's crazy because it's crazy because there were points in my life where I was in that exact same predicament. I don't know if I said this in my videos before, maybe not. But I was a cutter when I was in high school, when I was in college. And the reason for that feeling that he's mentioning, there's so much pain and agony that happens in your heart. aching and it's dreadful. It's like almost to a point where it's like, yo, just take me now, because there is it's just so much pain of whatever it is that's causing that pain within you. And it becomes so much. The only thing that numbs that pain, because it's never ending, is if I divert my focus to a different pain, a physical pain. At least that I know it's there, and that can take my mind off of whatever it is that's going on. Because you can say, oh, you can just go and play basketball, you can go and play video, do the stuff that you love to do. The second I stop, whatever it is that's causing me aches is going to come right back in my mind. So I had to continue the distraction when I'm not doing the things that I like. And I continue that distraction with another type of pain. Because at least when I'm walking to my classes and I feel that pain, it's like, that's there, but it's masking the pain that I'm feeling inside. It's like even when I'm not thinking about the thing, I feel the pain within my heart. Sheesh, man. That's crazy. And to see another black man, wow, that's crazy. Because it's not something that is really talked about, and most people, there's probably plenty of people that were cutters. And like, for me, if it was somebody that was cutter, if it was somebody that was a cutter, they were normally female. And they normally were like, I don't know, white, sometimes mixed, something to that extent. It was never, I never really seen male cutters, or I'd never seen a male cutter, let alone a strong black man like this, somebody who's, physically fit and all this stuff, do something like that. It's I don't want to say astounding, like it's a good thing that that's the case, but it's like a kind of relief in a sense that, okay, it wasn't just me. It wasn't just me. That's crazy. All right, Kirk, I see what you're doing here. You bringing in some interesting people and forcing some interesting conversations. And guys, look, this is all like me opening up like this isn't a matter of just me letting my business out there. This is a testimony of where I am now versus where I was before. And I'm proud of where I am now. And I'm glad that Christ has brought me to where I am now. And I'm glad of everything that I went through to get to where I am now. I will say everything that God has brought me through, brought me from the storms that came through to give him glory. And that's one of the things I don't talk about often, because it's just hidden in the back of my head. And there's not much conversations to really. I have plenty of other crap that I've gone through to where that just really doesn't come up. There was one time when I was working in the school system, I actually was talking to, there was one of the girls. She was in 8th grade, I think, and she was, in the hallway crying, this, that, and the third. And like, I just so happened to be nearby, and I'm like, all right, I guess this is part of the extra jobs that they told me to do. And so I would literally. So I went and I talked to the girl, talking about everything that's going on and stuff like that. And then, she was kind of opening up to me and all that good jazz. And then I look at her arms, and then I seen that she was a cutter. And then I asked her, how's everything going? How's your life? How's your mentality and all that stuff? And then she was kind of hiding things. And then I showed her my arm, and you could kind of still see, some of the scars that I have. It's kind of light now. It's not really visible, even if I did have no sleeves on. I mean, even right now, like, I'm pretty sure you can't really see it. Anyways, so yeah, so it's on my arm. It's not really visible. But I did show her, and I didn't even say anything. Once I showed her, she started crying even more. And then she opened up even more and told me exactly what was going on. And then I told her, look, I know things are tough, And I know you need mechanisms to try and cope. This isn't the way to do it. There's a better life. There's a better means of getting through things, getting through situations. And God is one of them. Trusting in Christ is one of them. You could choose to or you're not. But just know at the end of the day that this is detrimental to you and it's going to put pain and stress on you. And if anybody else were to know, which in most cases they don't, on anybody else that is aware. And I was just kind of there to just try to comfort her because there's somebody else that felt the same way. I don't think she did it for the same reasons that I did, but just the fact that she was doing it was like, yo, this thing is real. I thought it was, I mean, I knew it wasn't just me, but I didn't think I would encounter somebody else that did it, which is interesting. But yeah, let's keep going. No, this is crazy.
The inside. And then my second suicide attempt was a drug overdose. That was several years later, which after surviving miraculously, which is how I got into going to therapy, because I stood at the altar a bunch of Sundays, Kirk, and I got prayer, and sometimes deliverance works in an instant, but true healing takes place through the journey of understanding why was I cutting? What was the pain connected to?
Understanding it.
What makes you happy, King?
Man, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. That's refreshing to hear, man. For real, man. Glad you overcame that, man, because one of the greatest gifts God give us is life. Yes, and that's one of the main things he's been teaching me with, you know. I think happiness, people trying to seek happiness in the wrong places, it just comes from gratitude. Mm-hmm. It's about being thankful for what's already around you. Mm-hmm. And once you start to count that, you know, once you start to dim down the needs and the wants.
I'm not even gonna hold you. I thought this guy was Chris Brown. When I first saw him, I'm like, Chris Brown's on here? He's bald? What the heck? But
want for nothing and just accept and flow with what he's already providing and offering for you. That's when true happiness comes, in my opinion. You know, one of the main things God told me is the greatest gift is life. I relate to that. I've tried to take my life before. My daughter, when she was being conceived, she gave me something to live for. So, you know, happiness does come from the children.
What took you to that point in your life where you felt that space where you tried to even take your own life?
Man, it came to a space to where I had everything I wanted, but nothing I needed. So it was like, you know, everything of my wants, it was reachable. Money, cars, clothes, women, of course, all the things that's in the other side of the promise.
How old are you?
I was around 17. This was like after I had blew up. Around 16, a few months into me blowing up, receiving breakthrough, it started to become a point to where I started to veer a little left. You know what I'm saying? You know, I always relate to the book of Job. You know what I'm saying? I feel like at the end of the day, it was just everything was a testament to faith. But the attacks, you know, they started to increase, but still my faith never changed on, you know, who the ultimate provider was, and that's the Most High God.
How do you guys feel at the table? Has everyone at the table ever had that space outside of Doc and NLE? Have you ever been to that space where you ever thought about suicide as black men?
Yeah, absolutely. I was on suicide watch. There were times when I'm recently married, but there were times when me and my girlfriend, me and my fiance, and now me and my wife, there were times when we never spoke about it, but she never left me alone. And I never let myself be alone. Because we had spoken about that, you know, and I put it to her very straight. You know, I just don't want it. You know, you talk about life, you know, I just don't want it. You know, I just don't want.
What brought you to that place?
Isolation, right? Ostracism, humiliation, abandonment, You know, and the funny thing about that is that, I mean, we got a doc here, so I've learned that those things and having an event happen to you and getting arrested, or you know, losing a job, or you know, having to rejigger, you know, your you think that's the thing that gets you, you know, but it's usually, I found for myself, it was something way back, you know, that kind of had my mind in a certain space, you know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, drug overdose, yep.
Wow.
Damn near lived on a roof, you know, just plenty of, I don't even smoke cigarettes, you know what I mean? Plenty of cigarettes and whiskey, you know. I actually wrote a letter. Yeah, I've done the whole thing and been there.
Just the courage you have at this table, though, man. Just the courage.
It's not. It's precious, right? Like, life is precious, and it's deep, but there is a level of like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've reached a point now where it's like, I really want to care. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't care.
But the darkness we have to go through as a black man sometimes to get to that light.
But see, that's the thing you said.
That's what pisses me off.
You said this at the top. You know, we as black men have to talk about mental health, right? Like, I agree. But we are all born into a society in which our narrative, right? Our narrative as black men, we're born into a narrative that puts us downhill. Yeah. And then you end up having to pretend that you're somebody that you're not to get through certain doors that I got through, right? You don't get through an Ivy League door. You know, behaving a certain way, thinking a certain way, or letting people know you think a certain way. That didn't happen.
I think as a black man, we have to know we are at war. You know, every day we wake up.
Do you two, as young men, do you feel the pressure as men, or do you feel?
Y'all know how I feel about, you know, the whole black situation and, you know, putting focus on being black. That's kind of not. I don't like sitting in that because I found that to be really I'm not gonna discredit that. It's definitely a thing. My thing is being able to progress past that. And I'm not sure if that's what Kirk is trying to do, trying to find a beginning, find where it developed, and then find how we got past it. But it seems like he's trying to sit in the idea of just being black with mental health. And I think, I could be wrong based off of what I was hearing with Majors, is that he was at that point and now he's no longer at that point. And he's seeing something that's better to where that stuff doesn't matter to him anymore. If I understood that correctly, either that doesn't matter to him anymore, or he was still talking about when he was, you know, still like willing to off himself. And then his thought process was, it didn't matter anymore. It's one of the two for sure. But that's very interesting that Kirk is trying to sit there in the idea of, you know, being black. And is it a war? Oh man, it's tough. But again, the thing that I've been thinking about lately is that when we talk about culture, when we talk about being black, when we talk about, you know, being Haitian, when we talk about being American and stuff like that, you get viewed differently. The same way how you have different like if it didn't exist being different, then all of Africa would have been in union. But clearly there's some differences between the territories, kind of like with the church, all the denominations. It's just a matter of preference. It's a matter of how the culture is in that facility. So when it comes to being black, I don't really try to make that in a point to like, this is just who I am. and this is the battle that I'm facing right now because I'm black. I'm not worried about that. My mind is way past that. But a lot of people are still in that mindset. And I low-key get to a point where I say stuck in that mindset. But I don't know. Let's keep going.
The pressure as young, like is the pressure that you feel being connected as being a black man, or just you just feel it in general?
I don't feel pressure. I feel honored. You know what I'm saying? I feel honored because I'm a firm believer when it's.
Is that a grill or is that
pressure
braces?
is being formed. That's what creates the diamonds. You know what I'm saying?
Have you always been there?
I have not always been there, but I just recently came to that space, and now I understand why I had to go through it.
Let me ask you this, NLE. What led you to discovering that it was an honor to feel the pressure?
And I also want to hear from Ray J too, as a young gun too.
Yeah.
What led me to discovering what made me feel it was an honor is because our job as a black man is to go through the obstacles, to be able to uplift the other people that have not overcame the obstacles. And it's still a, you know, it's a war. We win one battle and then we move on to the next. We climb one mountain, then we gotta go to the next.
Yeah.
But service to others is one of the most important things, you know, and even a wise man once said, to piggyback off Jonathan, service to others is what pays our rent in heaven. Heaven can be accomplished right here.
Who's been teaching you? What you been reading? What you been doing? This because how old are you? 20?
I'm 22.
Oh,
22.
oh, shoot. Okay, who is this guy? NEL, NSL, SNL. Who is he? NLE Choppa. He's a rapper. Okay, I don't know him at all. He's 22. Oh, and his birthday's coming up. Happy birthday, NLE. What's your name? Bryson. Happy birthday, Bryson. BP. That's crazy. All right, he started getting national attention in 2019. I guess that's when he was mentioning that he was young. Yeah, I don't know him. But of course, I wasn't really in the rap scene for quite some time, so I'm not surprised that I don't know him. But based off of everything that I'm seeing with him, he wouldn't strike me as, and he like based off of the images that I'm seeing, like literally the images that I'm seeing right now of him, it wouldn't strike me as somebody that I'm looking at right now in this video and listening to him talk. This to me just looks like another typical Black American individual, you know, rapper just out here. I mean, and he probably has. Maybe he's matured from it, but to be 22? Sheesh. All right, young thug. Let's see.
And how do you handle?
Ray J looks so uncomfortable in this. What is wrong with him?
The pressure of life. Do you feel it as a black man having that experience?
The pressures, you know, it's not. It's deep. The industry's deep. It's a fucked up place to be, you know what I'm saying? Because, well, if you playing on the outskirts like us, it's not fucked up because, like he said, when he said, I don't care, like, I really don't give a fuck, right? Excuse me, sorry, you're a man of God.
You can be you.
Okay.
Be yourself, King.
Cursed in front of Kirk
King.
Franklin. That's
King.
not okay.
King. Be yourself. When did you come?
Whoa.
It's fine. It's
Bro,
fine.
I'm going to hell.
No, you're not
God
going to
damn it.
No, you're not.
That was crazy.
What's wrong with yo? Something is definitely up with Ray J, yo. I don't know what it is. Something's wrong. Why is he acting like this? Why is he acting like this? Maybe. Nah, let me not make assumptions. Let's just keep going.
You're fine.
If you know what's wrong with Ray J, please let me know.
First off, I want to apologize to the tape.
No.
That wasn't okay.
Right. I have a question for you. When did you get to that place where you no longer cared?
I mean, I no longer care when
Your daughter was born?
When I just like understood like that the manifested is different from trying. You know what I'm saying? And I've never been the type of person I want to go on an audition or sell myself. So I just took the long like the line that was like real long. I'd rather take that than to be who I'm not.
I got you.
And it's like I could be squeaky clean and be successful, and I'm real miserable. Like at that point, because you know what I'm saying?
That makes sense. Yes.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Like I'd rather be on the outskirts, because like you can't really make a mistake if you don't work for nobody.
I get you.
You can only make a mistake in your mind to where you like, fuck, I messed up. And that's God telling you like you did because you feel bad. But if you don't feel bad, then you ain't mess up. If your perception is right.
If you're conscious of it.
So if you go to war, we go to war, it's all messed up. Kids are dying in every country. So the war is fucked up for everybody, but now you're starting to figure out what's best for the family or the country, right? So you gonna ride with America or wherever you from, but it's all still messed up, and it's all still politics, whether it's Democrat, Republican, blood, crip, black, white, like.
And you can only imagine just the kind of pressure that it is being young and famous. And Kev, you are now experiencing a level of fame in your own life that has kind of caught you off guard. When you hear these young, intelligent young black men, who I'm so honored to have at the table, is because we'll never know their level of pain. We'll never know their level of anxiety and stress that they have to deal with, because we didn't have all of this BS and we didn't have all of that where you have to live your whole life in front of people. I mean, how do you process these stress and pressures of trying to manage it all and not losing it?
Yeah, I think it's tough, to be honest. I think KevOnStage is I've been describing it lately as the performative version of Kevin, you know, and I think you think you want something until it starts to happen, right? And I think one thing that I probably struggle with the most is like, for a long time I'm creating on the internet and I'm just this guy, you know what I mean? I can make fun of everybody that everybody else is making fun of, and then all of a sudden it's like, now when you say something, this is now somebody's podcast topic, or you're on the Shade Room, or you're trending on TikTok or Twitter or whatever, and I'm like, bro, what? And you know, when the internet is after you, I think you know it's not the real world and it's not everybody, but for some reason it feels like everybody. It feels like there was a time I was getting dragged. They were finding every one of my emails. They was like, and I'm just like, bro, you know, just put your phone away. But it's like, it feels like the whole world is like on you.
Same
you know
people to see you and shake your hand though and congratulate you.
And then that's the other thing that happened.
I've never seen nor heard the same magnitude of hate that I receive online.
Never. Wow. And the few times I've ever been getting dragged online, if I happen to have a show or something and I'm down the street, it's like, oh, Kev, what up, baby? Oh, love this from you. How the kids, how the wife? So it's like, it's incongruent with how you feel and what you feel like is happening. But I think two things are true. And I think for me, because so much of my job is the internet, it's kind of hard to avoid, you know what I mean? Because that's how I paid my bills, feed my family, blase, blase. But it does start to weigh on you. And I don't think that's not a thing that when I worked at the bank, that would never happen. You know what I mean? It's just, I go to work, I do my job, I go home. That could never happen. But now it's, you know, you start to feel like, I don't want to say nothing. I just don't want to be, I don't want to say nothing wrong, because whatever I say ends up being wrong.
Doc, I have a question for you, Doc. And I want y'all to also ask each other questions.
I got a question.
Yes. Oh, no, and I'm sorry, go ahead, finish.
Just real quick, before we move on, pressure. And then you also said celebrity, famous. I just think one thing we always have to realize is that we're not famous, we are not celebrities. Our anointment comes from a higher power. So once we are anointed, we're supposed to use it in a certain manner. And, you know, we go back to Jesus. He was anointed, but he was crucified in the span of being anointed. People didn't like him.
How old
People
are you?
Who is this kid? Who is this guy? Where did talk about a 180? And granted, I didn't know him before this. I don't know none of his rap songs or nothing like that. I don't know if he's a lyricist or I don't know if he's just, with the mumbling group or anything like that. This is weird because of the life that I know that he's from. And it seems like he's taking a different turn. Seems like, allegedly. But he's only 22. And he said that he blew up when he was 19 or 16. Which I guess is 6 years, but even then, like what has happened for you to make this type of shift to really look towards something else? Guys don't do that for a very long time. Artists don't do that for a very long time, and you seem to have shifted fairly quickly. This is weird. I'm glad. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like I'm just like Kirk. Like, yo, where you coming from, yo?
22.
Yeah.
I do feel like once we start to separate the saying famous and celebrity,
But
and
I do
just put
think
in
that's-
that you anointed. Bro.
No, I believe that. But I also think we are celebrities and famous. Like, I don't think, because I rejected that. I'm like, bro, I'm not famous. I'm not no celebrity, bro.
We just want to do what we do.
Yeah, I'm just making videos on the internet, bro. I'm not like.
But it's deeper, it's bigger than that, because it's somebody watching you that does not look at you like you just who. When you look in the mirror, you see Kev, you see who you are. But when someone else look at you, they see something that they want to be.
That's why I feel like I'm famous or a celebrity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because those people don't know me for me.
But they see God's hands on you. That's
No,
all
for
I'm saying.
sure.
They see the no. I think
I'm separating those two.
Yeah,
I think God's hand on my life, plan on my life is one thing.
Yes, sir.
And then the way the world sees me, or how I'm perceived, is a separate thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I wanted to ask a question before we got too far. Both of y'all brothers shared, you shared what you almost did and you did not. I'm curious what brought you out of that. Like, how did you?
Okay.
What was your thought process to be like?
Yes.
I don't want to do this anymore. I want to live. You know what I mean? Like, how did you? Because I imagine those things don't just magically go away, and that thought might be in the back of your mind. Like, how do you process? How do you pull out of that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kev. I think for me, NLE and I was talking about it earlier, right? He was talking about how his daughter, right, your daughter, right, has given him a reason to live. And I think for me, having an encounter with God after I survived, because most people don't survive the drug overdose. I mean, the stuff that I took, and to, man, some of everything, man. So my football injury was a nerve damage injury that I had to my pudendal nerve down the lower part of my back. It was so damaged that I'm just being vulnerable. I couldn't get an erection at 25 years old.
Wow.
That's
Yes, sir.
So,
Yikes.
so it was either do open back surgery or to try some rehab from a doctor that I met in Houston, who was the only doctor that can help with the nerve damage without surgery. So I was on Vicodin, codeine, I was on all that stuff for the pain. So I fell at practice one day on my tailbone and woke up, it was like temporary paralysis, couldn't move, lower extremity. So I OD'd on all of that along with other painkillers. Like for me, it was the internal pain of just the daddy wounds and all of those different things, in which I've talked about, on stage, is watching a father pastor, but wanting him to be a father to me as his only son. So it's, and that for me was so difficult because my brain at the time was trying to rationalize, how can you speak into them and not speak into me? So the 31-year-old Jay that attempted suicide.
Jesus. Jesus. Yo, this is wild, man. This is one of the spaces that I've come to realize when I was growing up. And this is one of the things that I've come to see with a lot of kids, a lot of preachers' children, the preachers' kids, is that they have this kind of same mindset where they're kind of just sitting back and they're just like, yo, you out here pouring out to these people, giving them attention, this, that, and the third, and I'm here and I'm yours. And I seem to not be as important to you, which is crazy because you literally created me. You, with the will of God, have brought me into this earth. But for some odd reason, you make it seem like I'm like a stepchild. I mean, yeah, you care for me and stuff like that, but there's more attention that needs to be had. There's more involvement that needs to be had. And this is one of the things that I'm coming to realize, and that one of my good friends, Stanley, he told me like straight up, yo, I understand that you're working. I understand that you're like visors and you're trying to do everything that you feel like you need to do. Don't forget your family. Don't forget your spouse. Don't forget the kids, especially not the kids. You are here to bring them up. So bring them up. Do not leave them behind. Now, and a prime example is not even a prime example, but an example of what it looks like to have that relationship with your children is the pastor of my old church, and even and his son, who is my youth pastor. He's my marriage counselor. He's a great friend of mine, and he grew up in a typical, preacher kid life. And his dad was heavy in the church, but there was some level of involvement, some level of teaching to where he then became a pastor. He then started, doing counseling type things, then becoming people's therapist, then becoming, all these things in a Christ-like manner to where he didn't steer from his teaching of his father. The thing is, when you're trying to guide your children into something, you still have to do so with care, and you still have to do so with a loving hand and not trying to force, which a lot of people in the Haitian culture tend to do. They try to force it. And that's not always the best thing. When things are necessary, yes, but there has to be that calm hand. There has to be that band of peace, and let the child know that you're there and that you still care for them type thing. And that comes with that, even outside of the church, just those that still focus on work and like going to the next thing and stuff like that. You still got to make the time and the effort, which is why I don't have videos coming out every day, because I don't do this full time. This is just a part-time thing for me. And I still have a full-time job, and I still have to make time for my family. And that comes priority before what it is that I'm doing here. I love what I do here, so I make time for it. But the family has to be a priority. Your kids have to be a priority over a lot of things. And when you put other things and other people before them, they will see that. And that's when the rebellion starts. Let's keep on.
So I just wanted daddy to say, son, I got you. Yeah. And it's okay. Mm-hmm. And it was just really, Kev, just really having to reconcile, which took time, that maybe he couldn't give me what he didn't have because it wasn't given to him. Yeah. Because you give what you have.
That's the grace. Yeah.
And understanding that, man, was painful because I also had to accept what I was never going to get. But it gave you peace. Wow. Well, peace came later. It came later because until you can reconcile that thing, you can't have peace.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it was also how my parents divorced, because football, the helmet was a mask for me. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I could put that helmet on and be whoever I wanted to be. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And for 60 minutes, I can just release all the rage, the anger. Yeah. And I'll never forget my coach. Too, like, physically. Football is very physical. I can literally hit you and hurt you. Yeah. And I remember my coach asking me, he said, what are you thinking about when you're out there? Kirk, this is no lie. I never saw an opponent's eyes. I always saw my father's face. Wow. And, and for me, that pain drove me. But here's the issue, that when we don't have a place where we can release that pain, we begin to harm ourselves.
I mean, listen, guys. There's a lot going on right now at this table. I got a lot going through my head right now.
Give us some.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because I mean, yeah, like I found my wife in my lowest moment of all time. You know what I mean? I found my wife,
Literally.
and that's all.
If you don't know, Majors, he was caught in a situation, kind of Johnny Depp situation, where he was framed of doing this, that, and the third with a snow bunny, and ended up losing a lot. He lost deals. He lost his movie roles, especially in Marvel. I forget what the villain's name that he was, but he lost a lot. And then he found Megan Good. He's married to her now. And now they're doing good. Now he's getting his roles back. He even got the role back for Marvel. I forget what that villain is, but so I hear from my understanding, he got that role back, and things are starting to look up. But yeah, that's kind of the point that he's talking about.
Like, she's an amazing woman.
She is an amazing. That's what we do at the house when we start feeling good about being married. You just yeah. So I found my soulmate. You know, I found my queen. You know, in that moment, we found each other rather. I'm just gonna move through it really quick, but I got something to say, right? So it's like this. So in that space, like I hear you, young brother. Like I hear you. You know what I mean? I really do. And I hear you too, Kev. But in that dark space, like nothing, like sorry, like bad news, Kurt. Like nothing's getting you out. Nothing's getting you. Like, and I don't want to talk about that. Oh, my babies. Oh, my career. Oh, my life. Oh, my, no, that's horseshit. That's horseshit. If you had something to hold on to, you wouldn't be in that space.
Wow.
You know what I mean? My baby girl wasn't gonna get me out. My mama told me I can't get you out.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Megan couldn't get me out.
And your mama preacher.
My mama preacher.
And your mama
you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to talk about that. Like what?
I know what he's going with this.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why I feel like let's cut the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? No, out of a dark place, right? Like.
I disagree. I disagree.
Well, respect, young brother.
The road leads back to two. No man, no woman, no kid, no pet can, but God can. The road leads back to two. And my thing, but my thing is though, my thing is this: if we understand and connect, man, listen. I just sat down for 3 to 4 months. I took a break. I could have made $4, $5, $6, $10 million. I left it all on a plate to sit down because something in my spirit wasn't right. I sat down. I had to go back home. Got grounded. Stayed in my hometown, the most dangerous city that people crucify. Stayed there, planted my feet there, and went into 112-day seek. Every day I woke up, I went outside with my notebook and I sat my feet in my grass and I stood before a tree and in nature and I just listened. And I wrote down everything. I jotted it. I got a journal. I got 4 or 5 journals stacked over 3-4 months. It's like a Bible. The Most High God fed to me every day, every second. When I woke up, He'll wake me out of my sleep. He gave me dreams, people that I needed to get away from me, snakes, rats, whomever. He put everything under a microscope in my life.
Watch this. There are times when I can say that my walk with God, NLE, has not been enough. And it was hard for me to admit that. There's going to be these views that are not black and white views, but these are our perspectives.
Yeah, but there's so many brothers who find themselves, and I am one of them. You know what I mean? Who find themselves in situations and they're hearing in the back of their head, oh, but your baby, oh, but God, oh, but.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's that moment where you look for it, right? And it's not there, and then you jump.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we gotta be very careful, famous celebrity people, right? Putting rules down, telling folks this is how it goes. No. That is dysfunctional.
So
right?
then let me
the
say
same way they
right,
say,
sorry,
the same
sorry.
way they say black men should behave a certain way. That's like saying a Christian should behave a certain way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not. It's not fair, right? It's not fair, and it puts that individual in a place where they have no escape.
Why don't you speak to that, Don?
Well, I like how you were transparent, Kirk, because as a son of a pastor, and you're so on point. And I think what Jonathan is saying is you are right. Yeah. It leads back to 2. Yeah. However, man, there are moments that crushes you, man.
Never discredited that.
And they're so crushing that me and him was talking earlier, and I related because what he went through, it's like this, Kirk. You know this. There's something, man, the agony behind dealing with a private matter in a public arena.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That is crushing that this should stay private, but now it's public. You could have called me, and now you had to make that post about, yo, Kev, this. And I think for us as black men, to what you're saying, Jay, is we can't package it and frame it in this manner because, man, life is so nuanced.
It is nuanced.
And
yes,
man,
it is.
you'll get into a place.
Yes.
And we were talking, because I went through what he went through in 2018 with the young lady I was dating. And I watched people get on social media, and I'm like, it's not true, but I couldn't say anything. And I'm saying, God, where are you now? Right? It was like a Job moment, because you're like, why is this happening to me?
But my thing is well, I said the road leads back to 2. All of these obstacles is for you to strengthen the relationship.
Oh, yeah,
that's all. That's all I'm saying. So if it's a misunderstanding there, I'm not saying. Hold on 1 second.
I want you to know you're okay.
Yeah, man. No, I'm over good. I know it's no rule. I'm not saying it's a set rule on how to be this or how to be that. Because one thing me and Kirk is a firm believer of is no man of perfection. It's only a man of progress.
Right.
My thing is the things that I went through. Same thing you went through, same thing you went through, same thing you going through, same thing you go through, same thing. No matter what age or none of that shit. It's all built to create the foundation of your relationship with the Most High. That's why I said the road leads back to 2.
And I think what Jonathan is saying is that in that moment, you can't discern or decipher that.
But
right, it will lead.
In that moment, you can't.
No.
But if you keep
I want to say something real quick. I want to say something real quick.
Make that connection.
I think I'm a church kid, and I'm 42 now. So, and I'm a church kid in the sense of like there was nothing else.
Yes, sir.
It is just Jesus. There's no medicine. There's no therapy. There's no divorce. Somehow, if your husband's beating you, God's gonna everything is God's gonna do it. God's got a plan. Right, that's all you.
That's
have.
what you're dealing with at the table, NLE.
Yeah.
See,
No.
In NLE's defense, let me just say this.
But I'm not religious. I'm not Christian. I'm not none of these things. I just believe in God. I go straight to source.
Right. But here's what I want to say.
I get what you're saying. I get how what I'm saying could be.
No. I'm not even saying that. I'm just speaking from my experience, not even directly to what you said or what you meant.
No, I receive.
But what John and Jay was saying, it's like. When I was young, that made sense, right? I'm not.
What
is not
made sense? What made sense?
What you're saying? God somehow this is going to make sense because God's going to make it make sense. God has a plan, and that was true for me when I was young, right? When I got older, and when my brother died, and as a child, it's just God kind of called him home. God had a better plan for him. No man understands God's thing. When I was a kid in that, with somebody else's grandma, somebody else's brother, that was cool. And I'm even telling them that. Yeah, don't worry about it. God's got you. Jesus is here. Jesus, just pray. Jesus died for this. All of a sudden, after 40 years of saying that stuff, and I'm not saying you don't believe it, because I believe it too. Oh yeah, God's got you, brother. I'm praying for you, right? And I'm hearing that until it was me. And then you're looking at God like, where?
But did he have you? Did he? My thing is,
here's the thing.
Hold up, did God have you though? Did he not?
I don't believe he did. That's my truth.
You said you didn't know then, or you still don't know now?
Still now.
You don't
and
know.
Also in the Bible, people in the Bible were like, Jesus was like, I don't understand what is happening.
It's not meant for you to understand.
Right, but this is what I'm saying though. Hear what I'm saying. in that moment, when my brother, right, and we talking about the celebrity, fame, and all this type of stuff, and I'm sure we all know this, that your circle of like actual trust people that you know if everything about you that everybody loves was gone, the amount of people who would be like, hey brother, you Uber, I don't care, come by the house, we're playing Uno. That amount of people that you really actually trust is usually less than 5 people, maybe 2 or 3 people.
1000%.
Right? For me, one of those 2 people is gone.
1000%.
So now it's like, and then you have people at the church, at the funeral, oh brother, God's got you. Okay, I hear y'all, okay? But that person is gone.
Do you know what we're talking about? Let me
Spiritual bypass.
No.
Is he gone though? Is that person really gone?
That is
energy,
dead.
If energy never died, then
No.
Let me ask you this, NLE. Let me tell you what's happening, King. Let me tell you what you're dealing with at the table. I'm gonna share something with you.
I'm dealing with the same thing.
But no, and I'm dealing. And I respect you.
I deal with.
And I know that you are.
I deal with the way I deal with people dying in the most violent way, and I gotta go to their funerals, pay for them motherfuckers, and they mama have to cry on my shoulder.
I'm not discounting that.
I'm not discounting either, but I'm saying.
Well, no. First of all, I am very grateful that the space for conversation is just happening.
Me too, bro.
They was having a chance to talk. Yeah,
No, this is actually a conversation.
Yeah. But I do want you to know, and I do want you to know what you're also walking into is because
I know what I'm walking into.
Well, if you don't mind,
Yes, sir.
if I can frame it like this, if you don't mind, just give me a second, and I really appreciate that. You're
Now the 22 is showing. Now the 22 is showing.
also talking to people, and I want to go to this with you, Ray J, is because you were raised in the church too. This is what you also do. See, you had, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I need your help on this. You weren't raised in church, were you?
My grandmother on my dad's side took my pops to church 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes 2 times a day.
What about you?
I'm a product of that.
Okay.
That veered my father away from church.
Wow.
I wasn't in church every day and all this.
Good,
Every Sunday.
good.
I was not. I can't say.
Which is
but
good.
I still receive what he felt. You get what I'm saying? It's a generational thing.
Yes,
that gets
yes,
passed
sir.
down.
Yes, sir.
So whether I feel it the way he felt it or not, I still feel it secondhand. You feel me?
Well, let me tell you why
I don't understand what he's feeling though. Let's keep going.
I said that is because I appreciate and love when people did not have to be forced to go to church and have stuff thrown down their throats, because it gives them a different way to paint their picture of the journey.
I get what you're saying. But going to church isn't the solution, man.
No,
I get
I'm not disagreeing with you, King. I'm sharing with you what you're walking into.
And
What's happening at the table is that for a lot of us, let's call it what it is, religious trauma.
I understand
What we're dealing with a lot at this table is because we
Okay, all right. It took forever. It took forever to get to this point, but yes, that's actually fair, and that's probably a lot of what Kirk is feeling. And this is the weird thing when it comes to, like, a lot of these guys are saying a whole bunch of stuff. SNL, I keep calling him SNL, NLE, whatever his name is. How he mentioned how he wasn't religious, how he's not a Christian, he just worships the Almighty God. These are the same things that I recall saying when I was younger, in my 20s, which is very interesting. And everything that Kev was experiencing when he lost his friend, no, he said his brother. When he lost his brother, is very interesting that, you come into the church. And that's the thing that kind of made things weird for me. Anytime when somebody dies, it's like, I don't want to sit here and just say the cliche thing, just say the thing that everybody's, always saying when things. I wish it was somewhere in the Bible that helped guide, on what to say when somebody dies to those that, that have been left behind. But I don't recall that there is. But when we're dealing with these type of situations, when we're dealing with the church hurt, the church trauma and stuff like that, that's something that's inadvertently that happened. You're just fine in the church, and then something happened to you that normally you're on the opposite end, but now it's affecting you, and now you're like, whoa. Then you're like, this is what other people go through. And then you kind of reflect and like, all I've been telling them is that God got you, everything's gonna be all right. And then that's not enough. It feels like it's not enough. it's going to feel like it's not enough. But that's just based off of your relationship. And going back to what Jonathan Majors said in the beginning, having that joy within you. What is it that brings you that joy to where you're unfazed, to where you're still gentle inside, to where you still have peace, to that point where nothing can really move. I mean, of course, you're going to be hurt when somebody dies, when somebody passes, but it won't be a place where you're like, God, where you're at. You're not like, okay, well, God got me. You're not in a sense of, this was all God's plan. You're at a sense of, this is life. This happens. God said that we will all die at some point. And at this moment, although I am sad, I know based on my relationship with the individual, I either know where they're going or I don't know. And that'll probably affect my mood. That's for me. At this point in time, when people die, I'm going to be highly hurt and devastated. But my biggest fear is, where are they going at the end of the day? Not so much what happened, not so much how it's affected me, not so much my life being turned upside down, not so much the person that I always came in contact with, the person that I talk to every day. Like, what was me? What am I going to do? There's a level of joy that resides within you because of your relationship with Christ and knowing what God has done for us, that allows you to have a different level of peace, which is crazy. That's crazy, guys. Let's keep going.
We have had people make us feel bad.
You know why though? It's a thing where you have us here
Preference.
as people.
Oh, and then that's the other part, going back into the book and how his dad, how his dad was raised in the church, at church 24/7, stuff like that. And that drove him away from the church. And thus he was ultimately not part of the church. I'm not sure how those feelings on the church was kind of passed down to him, unless his dad made it apparent that he didn't like church. He made it apparent that he wasn't going to church, or that, grandma's just going and doing her church thing. I ain't about that and stuff like that, because they made me do this, they make me do that. And then there's been constant conversations. There was probably constant conversations with his grandmother and his dad in regards to the decisions, life decisions, because that's just what happens. Not that it's a good thing, but that's a common thing that happens when you have somebody that's in the church or somebody that's not. Excuse me. You have these constant conversations of back and forths, especially if, it's a parent and their child. You have these constant back and forths of just, trying to figure things out. One person's trying to tell you come back, and then you're telling them, nah, I don't need all that stuff and whatnot because of the trauma that you went through. I've been in that sense when I was in college, where I'm like, I don't need a church. I'm not religious. I just, worship God, but I do so on my own. We're not supposed to do anything on our own. As Jonathan Majors said in the beginning, being by yourself is a dangerous spot. Even if you think that you're just going to live, like, we're put on earth with other people for a reason. We're supposed to do things. One, get it. You know what I mean? So the issue that's coming with churches nowadays is preference. And when it comes to preference and how people go about, look, at the end of the day, the main important thing is that we understand the word, we understand who Jesus is, we understand what he did, the lineage that he came from, and what was done before him. And when all that is just to show how God is graceful and how we can be saved when we perish from this earth, because our first parents decided to doom us, not decided to doom us intentionally, but has doomed us to death. But when we do die, we have a place in heaven. That is the absolute beginning of everything. Everything else is just a matter of preference. Everything else is just a matter of preference. So the thing that's hurting a lot of people is that they're caught in preference, which is unfortunate, but it happens. What we need to start teaching people is to make sure you read the word, read the Bible, so that you know the truth. so that you see firsthand what the truth is. This isn't the white man's Bible, because these scriptures, these words were written way before the white man took slaves over to America, way before the Renaissance, way before medieval ages and all that stuff. The Bible was already set. So we need to learn from it, learn the history, learn what God has brought all the Israelites through, everything that they've done to turn their backs on God, yet God is continuously being gracious towards them and now pushing the gift of salvation to everybody. Anyways, let's keep going, guys.
You have God, and then this is what happened. We got to go through all these different things to get primarily the source. Primarily the source. You know what I have a problem with? One of the things I have a problem with, and it may be controversial. A lot of people may say this and may say that. I don't like, let me say it in a manner to where it's extremely intelligent. Let me think on it.
Okay.
In Christianity, it's a thing where people praise the Son more than they praise the Father. And that's what I don't like.
Okay.
Because
okay. And this is what I'm referring to when I what? Okay, let's keep going.
if we are man made in a likeness, Jesus is our brother.
What?
You get what I'm saying? Why would I drop down and praise?
Even Kirk is like, wait, what?
Instead of praising my father. And that goes back to honoring your parents.
I just gotta say something.
Good.
Have you read the Bible?
I read the Bible, I listen to the Bible, I receive from source straight.
I would say read it again.
Sir.
Let me ask you a question, Ray J.
Yo, who is this man? All right, Jonathan Majors. Okay. I like to hear more from him. I want to hear. He's keeping his mouth pretty tight, but homie is spitting facts. What, yo? And I'm not laughing because look at that grill on his face. I'm not laughing because of the fact that Jonathan Majors said that. I'm laughing because I wasn't expecting Jonathan Majors to say that, and what he's saying is factual. Hold on, let me find. And what he's saying is factual. And I'll say, and again, is showing his 22ness. The 22 is showing. Not to say that all 22-year-olds are like this, but I had these mindsets of the word of, I had these mindsets of God and how we should be living and, trying to find the truth, but on my own terms without reading the word. Even if I read the word, I'm coming to, it isn't until me reading the Bible now, me renewing my faith now, within the past year, and like really be diligent in wanting to learn the word and remembering. I don't know, I got this new level of memorizing the word that or memorizing the events that happened, the things that was written, the scriptures that was written. I'm finding this newfound like skill to be able to internalize all that stuff willingly. And because I'm not reading it just to read it. Before, that's what I was doing. So then now I'm going back and I'm reading the word and I get excited to figure out, what's happening next? And then I'm reading stuff and then it's like, honestly, every time when I'm reading the Bible now, I feel like I'm reading it for the first time. I'm pretty sure throughout my life, I probably read the Bible twice. And the second time was maybe 7-ish years ago. But for some odd reason, I'm retaining things more. Like when I'm reading, I'm like, okay, I remember this, I remember that. But it's like it's sticking more now than it did before. And literally, let me see. We go into and this is why I keep saying, when I'm talking about, my proverb of days, when I say read the word yourself, don't just take my word for it, because you have to know what the word says. And the word is very clear in John chapter, in John chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, there was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. And then 14, and the word became flesh and dwelt among us, being Jesus. And we have seen his glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. John 10:30. This is Jesus, where he declares, I and the Father are one. So, if we're going to be full Christians, or in his case, believers of God and nothing else, if we're going to do that and we're going to put our faith in the scriptures, we need to believe in the scriptures, the things that Jesus had said. We definitely need to believe that these are the things that were said. That John 10:30, that's what Jesus had said himself. So for him to say that, it's like, all right, bro, let's go back and make sure that we capitalized on everything that, that was said, and that we're understanding the scriptures, because what you just said, it doesn't align with scriptures. And it's just crazy. Yo, who's Jonathan Majors? This is wild that I just didn't know. I don't know. Maybe I should be going on more podcasts and see what people are saying, seeing what these celebrities are saying and whatnot. Because I'm honestly just shocked that that's what he said. Or at least just that truth of, yeah, you should probably go back and read the scriptures again, because what you're saying is not of the faith that you're claiming. This is very contradictory to the faith that you're claiming. And that's dangerous, because if you don't think that Jesus is God, you think that Jesus is just your brother, do you then only think that Jesus died on the cross, but maybe not believe that he died for our sins? Because that's kind of required in order for you to get to heaven. But I don't know. It's interesting. Let's keep going. That's crazy.
How has it been for you coming from the space where you had to go through this? You were raised in church. You've seen different things that have not been always good. How have you processed when it comes to dealing with your own journey of health, mental health, trying to be a strong man? How have you sometimes had the conflict of
Ray J's
what
on
to
something,
pray
man.
away
Ray J's on something.
And what to go seek help for, how to address issues that you may go through as a black man that is sometimes seeing faith not always in the best way or the right way or the wrong way? Has any of that ever been your experience?
I hate church.
Why?
All right.
Well, first off, because they always sit me in the back. And I'm like, damn. All right.
But does it make you not feel good enough?
I mean, I'm way back there, yo. Then they put me in the front of the church, and I'm like in the front, I start sweating, yo. Real bad, like I'm supposed to be at the front. And then,
Were you nervous when you said that?
nah, I just was up there like, yo, I'm a real sinner.
All right. So you get in the back, you came to church late and it was packed. Stop being late. And if you're sitting in the front, it's either you're sitting in the front or in the back. Sit in the middle. What is going on with Ray J? I don't know. God, please bless this man.
Again,
we all are. But what do you do, Ray J, when it comes to the journey of trying to find what the solution is for you when you are dealing with those areas in life that are too big for you and they affect your mental health? They affect the emotions that whether you can't pray away or you can't do something away, is because a lot of times as men, we have these things that help get us through, whether it's sex, whether it's drinking, whether it's drugs, and this is historical for us as men. Work, you know what I mean? We've always tried to find something to help us get through.
We need that. It'll never be a day where we don't have to find peace in something.
We don't need that. We don't need that. And I feel like he's going to say happiness in a second, but that's something that we don't need. We need joy. We need to find joy in Christ and doing God's will and living under God's watch. Once you find joy in that, which I mean, I guess in itself, everybody has their own journey to get to that point. But it really comes down to understanding that a lot of the stuff that happens in this world does not matter at the end of the day. I mean, it says it's in Job, it says it's in Ecclesiastes. These things are meaningless. There's one. And then two, when we're living our lives, we live to care for other people. We don't just live for ourselves. So the thing that a lot of people fall short on is that they try to live for themselves. They try to do things that make them happy, or maybe just making their family happy, whatever the case may be, but not help bring servitude, bring somebody else up, because your happiness is never going to be ending. I mean, you trying to seek happiness is never going to end, because the happiness is only going to be temporary. You got to find the next thing that's making you happy. But when you're serving other people, that's endless. Now, can that bring up temporary happiness? Yes, that can. But at the end of the day, you're doing God's work. When you're doing something for yourself, that's not doing God's work. You're not fulfilling God's promise. So you're not being fulfilled with what it is that we were put on this earth to do, which is to be together for everybody and help everybody out. And I'm not saying to be able to just help everybody out like entirely, but like do your part in this world. If you have the means, use those means to bring somebody else up so that they can then have means and bring somebody else up and then continue, because we're in a fallen state right now. We need to bring other people up. You can still enjoy the things that you have. You can still make your millions, whatever the case may be. But when you're just spending it all on yourself, that's when you don't, because you're just caring for self. You're seeking for happiness, and happiness has to just tend for self. And that's not what we should be living our lives for. That's not what we should be seeking. We should be seeking the joy of the Lord, because once you have the joy, then everything else is just, it is. Maybe I'm being a zealous Christian at this point because my faith has grown exponentially over the past year. But this is my understanding. This is my understanding of the faith. This is a place of joy that I wish for everybody to be in, because there's a lot of stuff in this world that you just don't care about anymore. And because we're a capitalist nation, it makes it easy to just worry about things, getting this, getting that, because you got to pay for it. You got to, be able to obtain, and then it makes you happy. When you have Christ, a lot of the things you realize doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Where was I going? I don't even remember where I was going with this point. Let's keep going.
At the end of the day, I feel you, man. Like, damn, that shit, it hurt me. It really hurt me, to see what you went through, bro. Because that shit just, that's not cool. It's just
to even, as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about Kev as well, because to watch Kev have to mourn his brother, who I knew that they were so close. This was also his manager.
But was it any when your brother passed, was any malicious stuff that happened? Was it any?
No, so this is the part that feels the most cruel about it. He had cancer, and at the time that he was diagnosed, they were like, this is like a terminal cancer, 5 to 7 years, right? So, man.
Lost my grandfather to cancer.
Well, sorry, man.
What makes it worse is if he just got cancer and got sicker and died. Okay, that's what cancer does. You understand that. He got cancer, got sick, and then got better, to where he was back to where he used to be. So we were on a book tour, and I saw him in Houston. We had dinner. Everything was normal. And the night before he passed away, we were texting and calling, and everything was great. The day he passed away, we were talking. We were texting. We were talking about sports. And then my sister-in-law called and was like, "Your brother had a seizure." And I'm like, "What?" I still had my phone in my hand. I was like, I'm just talking to him. And
sheesh, man.
I was so disoriented that I had a show that night. And I was like, I came home and I was like, I'm gonna go to my show, he'll be fine. And my wife was like, I'm gonna go to Houston I think you should come. And thank you. And I'll never forget this. We're flying, and my nephew called me on the plane, and somehow my phone still rang. And my nephew told me on the phone, he's gone. Wow.
Dang.
So the last time he was alive, I'm talking to him the night before. We make the New York Times bestseller. Look, thank you, Ray J. So it's the highest high. Like that day is the best day ever. Because it was like we did it. Everything was like we wanted to do this. We wanted to make all this stuff happen. And we did it. And before we could even celebrate it, you're gone.
Jeez.
And then all this stuff starts happening good. And it's like, bro, this is what we worked for. All the stuff, the shows, and it's just like.
And then that leads to wonder what is God doing here? What is happening? And I think that could be what was going through his head. Like, yo, God, why? The person who I built this with, you took him. And now all of the stuff that we've been working towards is now paying off. And you took him. Was this type of a sacrifice thing? That could be what's running through his mind. But I mean, I just never been in that situation. There were two, and I think there were two situations when I was younger. Well, not what am I talking about? Sorry, guys, I keep losing track of where I'm thinking. I got to work on that. My youngest death was when I was 5. There was a guy that lived in my grandma's house. She had like a boarding house when we lived in Jersey. There were several people that lived in, or a duplex. That's what it was. There were several people that lived in a house. And this guy, he to me was not really my dad's replacement, but he was the man figure that I had, because he would bring me to school. He would pick me up from school. And then he would, get me ice cream and stuff like that. So, and my dad was always working, so I never really saw my dad, but I saw him. So me being young, I knew he wasn't my dad, but he was that male figure for me. And he died. And then that was my first death. And I'm just like, dang, this is crazy. And then my mom's explaining to me like the concept of death, because that's the first death, that I've experienced. I'm 5 years old. And a person that I was very close to passed. And I've been to plenty of funerals. I don't know anybody that's gone to more funerals than I have. But the thing is, it wasn't anything that hit home until my grandma passed. And that's when I kind of came to a realization when it comes to death. Because my grandmother is matriarch, like heavy. She's not like super famous in the Haitian community, but a lot of people knew her. When I tell her the church was packed when she passed, people coming from everywhere, Canada, Florida, Haiti, New Jersey, New York, Philly, they all coming to Georgia to her funeral. France, like people were coming out because of how much of an impact that she had. And for me, and I say all that because it's like, yo, this person who's a God-fearing woman, the way that she died was tragic. And I know that people, especially like my dad, had a very disdain for God because of the way that she died. And he would always talk about this person that cared for God so much. What a shameful way to die. These are his words. Did he use shameful? I don't remember he used shameful. Shameful is a word that he says in many cases. So I think he says shameful, but that's a little harsh for your mom. So let me not say shameful. There's a tragic way for somebody to die who cares for God. Where is God? Why is it that God took you like this? And I'm like, yeah, that is a crazy way for somebody to die. But at the end of the day, she did everything that she had to do. She lived her life caring for God, caring for other people, caring for those without dads. caring for those without husbands. She did that. And she fulfilled her purpose to the best of her abilities and did what she could to the best of her abilities. And she praised God as she reached out, prayed for God to allow her to do these things. And she did it. Was the way that she died tragic? Yeah, she died. She had a seizure while she was in Haiti and completely paralyzed on her left side, on her right side. I think it was her left side. And then eventually after a couple months, I think it was like 6 months, she had an infection on her numb side and it did a lot of damage and it took her out. But during that funeral, I maybe shed one tear because I came to the realization of death. There were 3 people that died that year. It was my wife's sister, which was very interesting. And then it was my uncle that died from a car accident, from a hit and run. I think my grandmother died the next year. Was it that year? I want to say it was the next year. I think it was the next year. My dates are off. But essentially, there was a lot of death within a year time span. Let's go with that. People that I was relatively close to. When my grandmother died, it was like, dang, that's crazy. But because of how I knew she lived her life, I was at ease because I know that she was going through a lot and I knew that she was hurting and I knew that she was just doing God's work, much how Peter and Paul and, the apostles just going out and trying to do God's work. That was her focus. That was what her life's mission. That's what she did. And she died just as they died. And I know that she was happy that it was all over. Not in a sense of, Lord, I'm trying to get rid of my life, but in a sense of my duty is now fulfilled. And that's what brought me ease. That's what brought me ease when she died. And then the other interesting thing was when my sister got sick. Now, kind of that experience that Kevin was talking about when it comes to like that dysphoria or disoriented. When my sister got sick a couple years ago, it was like, oh yeah, something's wrong with Shirley. She's at the hospital. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then it got to a point where it was like, yeah, she's unresponsive. And I'm like, okay, I gotta go. So I literally, like, within the next day, got everything, booked my flight to Florida, and went over there to go be with my mom because it was just my mom that was over there. And I don't know if it's, and I think that's kind of how my brain is wired. I get into this mode of just we got to figure out what's going on. I got to be the protector. I got to be the one that, make sure that the level-headed one in this situation so that we can make the best decisions and do what it is that we need to. And like the whole time while I'm driving or while I'm flying to Florida, while I'm at Florida, and then I go there and I see her in the hospital bed and all that stuff, I'm thinking, like, the thoughts are running through my mind of, and this is one thing that I hate about my mind, is that my mind tends to try to do these things where it prepares me for death. So the conversations in my head just keeps on happening. Images keeps playing in my head. Just scenarios, just in prep, so that when it does come, I'm more prepared and I'm not, dysfunctional like a lot of people are, but able to make the decisions when necessary. But then as the days continue to progress and I continue to gain more information from the doctors and whatnot, I don't know, there was something that assured me that everything was going to be okay. And I'm normally not that optimistic when it comes to certain things. But in that situation, I felt the spirit tell me that everything was going to be good. There's a lesson that was brought. There was a lesson that had to be done as to why I was here. Now, different situation from Kevin because he just lost his brother out of nowhere. All that to say is, at the end of the day, we are put on this earth for a reason. How we live on this earth will be by the same reason, and that is God. He's the only one that really knows all things, and we don't. So we can make assumptions. We can make, theories on why certain things happen. But at the end of the day, only God knows. And that's what we go off of. So we just take that burden up with God, put it to God, as he said, cast all my burdens onto me, give it all to God, give it all to Christ, and kind of, progress on in faith. It's interesting. Let's keep going.
There's times where I go to text him or to call him, and it's like your brain doesn't even remember. So and then on top of all that, his responsibilities became mine. So his family, he's the provider for that family. So now all of a sudden I've got to help his wife, his kids.
Wow.
So I'm grieving with y'all.
Wow.
But I've taken on more of a burden, even though we're all sharing the same pain. I'd only been to 2 funerals before that. The third funeral was my brother,
crazy.
and now I have to pay for and plan it. And I don't, I'm saying, I've never done any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then I still got to be my own husband, my own wife's husband, my own kid's father. I still got employees. I still got to show up. That's what we're saying, the work part of it. Like, I don't even know what I would have done if I didn't have work. And I'm not even saying I buried myself in work, but it was like, I gotta live.
Yeah.
But I also feel guilty for living.
Yeah. I have a question for you guys, man. Is that, do you think, like even what's happening right now, do you guys think that there is another medicine out there, Jonathan, that we're not even realizing that can also be part of the healing for us as black men? And it is
he goes talking about black
lack
again.
of sometimes affection that we feel that we.
I just have to put in my head that I'm not the black that he's mentioning. I'm not that. I never was that. I have to put that in my head and give some type of grace when these things are constantly coming up, because this is a big thing in the culture, in the community, I guess. Being black is a big thing for certain people, and it is a lot for certain people. It may not be for me, but that doesn't mean that it isn't for somebody else. And I need to just keep that in mind. Because like the more I keep hearing black this, I'm like, guys, why are we still focusing on this? But some people are just, that's where they are. But I like them to progress from that, of course. But I mean, everybody's at their own pace, I guess. I don't know.
We have not been prepared to give each other as black men. Like, I'm gonna tell you something, and I said this earlier. NLE, I'm not ashamed to say, man, that I would love to have known what it feels like to have a father hold me, or have a brother hold me and embrace me when I'm weeping tears. And I think that there's something therapeutic about that, but because the culture has always put us against each other, that do you feel, Doc, that we're missing these opportunities to even help heal each other by embracing each other in our darkest moments, to just let each other know, I see you, I got you, and we're gonna be all right? Like, do you think that there's something we're missing in this alpha male, this toxic masculinity that we're dealing with more than ever?
The Bible. We come together. We encourage each other. We are happy when we see one another and we lift each other up. The Bible says to do all these things, but the people are not reading the Bible. And this is why I'm saying why being black doesn't matter. And this is the point that I'm trying to prove. This is why I'm saying that black doesn't. It's not that it doesn't matter. It's just that we have to get past that and focus on the word. Because if you focus on the word, it's not going to tell you need to be masculine. It's not going to, tell you. It's going to tell you the opposite of trying to, get a one up over your brother, or, just focus on you, and just trying to make this money, try to make this bad, or being masculine. You can't cry, or you can't, weep and stuff like that. It's not going to tell you to do that. It's going to tell you to encourage each other, be uplifting to one another. This is what the Bible says to do, but we're not focused on the word. We need to focus on the word and really exhibit those types of spirits so that we can live like the fruit of the Spirit tells us to, with kindness, with love, with gentleness. Gentleness. That means being gentle with not only kids, with not only females, but to be gentle with other men. Not in a homo way, but in a way of we too need that. We too need that. And it's crazy because I don't know if you guys have seen my foster care video that I've done with the boy that we had. One of the things that always crossed my mind, and this is a tough one. One of the things that always crossed my mind, and I do this with my daughters as well, is that every time when I'm with them and they're just happy, and I'm just like, dang, I'm glad I'm able to do this for them. And I don't know what man would not want to make their kid happy. What man would not want to hold their kids? I hold my kids so much. And that's because it's just one of those things that I lacked growing up, that I just overdo it. And I know I overdo it, but I want to make sure my kids know that even though I discipline them, even though they practically cry every day because I make them do things that they don't want to, I still love them. And I show them the love with the hugs, with the embraces, with the constant kisses and all that stuff. Always telling them I love you. Every time when I'm about to take the kids a bath, I always tell them I love them. And it's just like, dang, man. It's like, this is what I was missing out on. And it's like, I can't be upset at my parents. I got to give them grace. It's just how they knew. But that doesn't mean that I have to do the same to my kids. And that doesn't mean that I do the exact opposite of what they did. Yeah, they were harsh, and yeah, they weren't very affectionate towards me because they just thought that you just had to be a man and grow up and stuff like that. I can still tell my kids, well, like the foster kid, I can still tell them, yo, you need to, when certain things happen, you just need to, just get back up and stuff like that. But still tell him it's okay to cry. It's okay to be upset. We have to be able to learn to control it. Don't allow it to linger too long and see exactly what's going on. And give him a hug. Give him a kiss on the head. Just tell him that it's all right. You can still do that. Oh, man. Damn, yo.
And our culture.
We're missing connection.
Yeah.
And you see how the air changed?
Yes.
As Kevin was sharing. And I'm sitting here and I can feel this energy because, to be honest, Kirk, we don't even get the opportunity to grieve properly as black men.
Or even how Rachel even got up and just showed him some love. It's like, we don't get those moments.
We don't get those moments. When I saw all of these guys, I made it my point to acknowledge his transformation.
Yes.
I made it my point to acknowledge his perseverance and to speak life into him. Made it my point to talk with him and to share with him Ray J. And because when we lack connection, man, we limit ourselves from having the human experience. Yeah. We need connection. We need affection. I made a post, or it wasn't even a post, I was on a podcast, Brandy Harvey's podcast, and I talked about how study shows that boys need more hugs than girls. Not because they need more love, but we're usually underdeveloped emotionally as boys because we don't get touch, we don't get affection, we don't get I love you and look you in your eyes and not be able to say, no homo. It's no I love you, man, and pause. It's we don't get that. And man, the internet tore me up.
It's a war.
The internet tore me up because it was like, oh, so you saying? I said, no, that's not. The study revealed that because boys are underdeveloped psychologically and emotionally because we've been told, man up, you better not be no bitch.
Yeah.
Don't you cry.
But at the same token, we so far away from how we originally was supposed to bring up black men that we don't. A lot of black men don't know.
And they don't know.
Share more with that as a young man with that perspective.
When you walk up to, and I don't call them no YNs, but when I walk up to a young king, it's always black man, good brother, young king. I love you, man. Respect. And I've seen, man, and most times when I'm through the airport and somebody stop me and say something, I embrace them. That's right. And they'll say, brother, thank you. Because usually, Kirk, it disarmed them from having to armor up. Because usually when brothers go into any space, we're armored up.
Tell me about this war, NL.
Man, it's a war. I mean, we all aware of the war. We all aware of the war. Every day we wake up. You know what I'm saying?
Define it for me. To just somebody who's older, I would love to know.
Please, let me know what the war is.
In detail, from your perspective. It's because your life is so much more different than mine. I would love to learn.
Is it the war to kill black masculinity? Is that what it is?
Man, it's the war. It's the war to black man, black masculinity. But a lot of people got to understand black man also have feminine too. Feminine on the fifth dimensional level with receiving, stillness, trust, just allowing things to happen and flow within a life. And just, you know, the balance. We're unbalanced. As black men, we want to always do. That's the masculine, not the feminine, not this. Feminine is receiving, stillness, trust, faith. Masculine is just the power and the act of doing. Once we start to create balance in that area, that's when black men, we become more polished. But the war is that information like that is not groomed to us from yay high. You know what I'm saying? Even
that's
you know,
good.
and brother, I don't even want it to be a misconception like I'm not understanding what you went through. I don't want you to feel in no way, shape, form disrespected.
No, I don't.
And you know, I feel like everyone on this table is the utmost
You're doing a
love
great job,
for.
King.
Understood.
Yeah.
But man, one thing that I started to learn and I never understood why in science this stuck with me so much. It's the energy cannot die, can only be transferred. Now that's my perspective, right? I'm not saying that's how you should apply it to your life, but I can say, man, my grandfather died of cancer when I was like 8 or 9 years old. It scarred me to a point to where I used to be scared to go to sleep. I didn't even understand what cancer was. I thought I was gonna go to sleep and just die in my sleep. I saw my grandfather dead at 8, 9. That was my first dead body. Just recently, I fast forward and jumped from that. Just recently, my other grandfather passed. But the connection, the reason why I say energy can't be died, it only be transferred. I'm gonna break down the story. When my grandfather passed, I'm usually able to meditate and connect with anyone on the other side, and I'm able to receive from other realms. Yes, sir. The living. I'm able to receive. So I went to sleep that night, I had a dream. My dream was my grandfather knew I love guns. My dream was he was at his home, and in the room I used to stay in as a little boy, he took me into the home, lifted from under the bed, pulled out a briefcase, and the dream ended. I was overseas, I was catching a flight when he died. Same thing you said, my mother was crying loudly on the aircraft. We was on the way to Europe. My mother was screaming. Flight attendants had to wear me because I had earphones on. I had to cater to my mother in the middle of a flight because her father just died, right? I went to sleep that night, I had a dream. Once I got back to Memphis, first place I went to was my grandfather's house to greet my grieving grandmother, but to also go straight to that room in that dream. In that dream, when I lifted up the bed and I pulled out the same briefcase I saw in the dream that he sent me, I opened it up and that's where I found all his hunting rifles. So when I say energy does not die, it can only be transferred. How did I get that dream? How did I know it was guns under that bed if I never knew it was guns under the bed?
So now, Ray J, when you hear these stories about how people can cope through what they go through, what has been the most beautiful lesson that has been given to you on how to survive being famous, being a celebrity, being in the public, having to deal with the scrutiny and all those things? What has been the thing that has kept you together so that you were able to just stand strong as a young black man?
First off, I want to say to NLE, like, I fuck with you and I appreciate you really genuinely trying to like make sure you.
All right, nothing against Ray J. Y'all can sue me later. There'll be a link in the description. But I don't know. I need something. I want to hear Majors, bro. Nothing against anybody else. I want to hear Majors talk. And it looks like Ray J got hot because he took off his jacket. I don't know. Let's see what we got here.
And then 2 years after that, this whole thing about me thinking when some guy was my dad and he wasn't my daddy, you remember this whole situation? That broke me too, because first I didn't have a daddy, and then to find out that God allowed a man to live 10 minutes from me my whole life that was my daddy, that could have helped me out in life, and that didn't happen. Anxiety and depression got so bad for me that I couldn't pray it away. And I was embarrassed, and it made me question my faith, but I had to use medicinal help. And I felt like a failure as a Christian to be able to have to get on some medicine to help me with my anxiety and depression because of how I was raised. I could not pray it away. And this is my first time ever admitting.
Do you still have troubles with anxiety now as today and depression?
I am better because I have had to get help with it.
Can I share what helped with me? Not putting a rule down, but can I just share what helped with
Sure.
What helps with my anxiety and depression? Sure.
Nature helps me, but it didn't help me enough. I've always been a nature, it didn't help me enough. So coming back to you, what gave you the courage when you started to publicly, like you did, in such a comfortable way? Is because I've never had that courage. But when you just did that, I found inspiration in that. Where did you get that from, that it wouldn't take away from your masculinity, that it wouldn't take away from your own power?
I think it goes all the way back to kind of what we all said, what I said, and Ray J jumped down. I was like, and I want to be clear about it. Like, when I say I don't care, it's not the fact that I don't care about anything. It's just my priorities are so clear now that my mental health, my mental fitness, my physical fitness, my spiritual fitness, these things I cherish. These things are precious. And it is the ego, it is the Insta, Google, Facebook chat book, you know, it is all these things, you know, that distract from that, you know. And when I've got now on the other side of it, right, like I just really love what's going on, you know. Your question is how I get to the other side.
Well, my question is how did you find the comfort and courage to be able to
because it's more, that's what it is. Because we say that in drama school, you have to increase your need to communicate, right? Like that was our big thing, right? If you can't hear, you increase your need to communicate. I feel so led to break down, right, and diagnose this taboo thing that is around us as men, and especially us as black men, and especially on us as Christian black men.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
I feel like that is a calling.
Wow.
And a mission for me, because stepping out and watching everything go, you see what people think about you, and you take the good with the bad, you take the crooked with the straights. And what I realized is there's a whole group, a whole ecosystem, an entire demographic of people who are looking at people like me, people like Kev, people like Doc, people like my homie, people like you, and saying, what do they do? What do they do? What do they do? And I go, if the Lord has put me on this earth, and has put me through all this, right? And I'm still standing, and I'm still here, right? I gotta share that, you know. I've got to share that, and the things that were burdening me, I'm gonna unburden in front of folk, so they can see that it's okay. It's really okay. that you hurt sometimes. That sometimes the prayers you don't feel like they working.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Doesn't mean they're not working, but sometimes it feels like they ain't working.
Some days
you know. Yes, some days they do. Some days they do.
Some days they don't feel like they're working.
Yeah.
Oh, got you.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
You know, like
Yes, sir.
you got
Yes,
the
sir.
most beautiful woman.
Yes.
And sometimes she can't turn it around for you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That
Yes.
like these material things do not mitigate
Yes.
the suffering.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They don't mitigate it.
It's a different level of joy. It's a higher level of joy that you need and that you can only get through Christ. My goodness, Jonathan Majors, bro, who is this guy, yo? I need to hear more from this guy just to see what's going on in his mind with all this stuff, because I had no clue. I don't know a lot about a lot of people, but this is wild to me.
Park right there, man.
Yo, will somebody let Ray know that his boy would love him back in? Yeah.
Park right there, man.
Yeah, that and I think that there's so many men that are watching this that are trying to figure it out. It's because here's the truth. We're all trying to figure it out. And I think that there is a level of grace that we don't give ourselves and each other because
Yes, that's huge, bro.
you jump on
That's
this.
huge. Not being so hard on self. It is perfection within our imperfection. That's huge.
Yeah.
And I think it starts there. You know what I'm saying? That's
sir.
the first step of self-love, is to be gentle with self.
Self-love.
Treat yourself like a toddler.
Self-love as black men, do we even feel worthy of that? Self-love, Doc. What does self-love look like?
Say something, Kev, because I feel it.
It's two things. We were talking about this earlier. I forget who said it, but we were talking about. I'll give an example. Two things. I'm sorry. It's a lot of thoughts are in my mind. We had the wildfires here in LA in January, and it was the first time I ever experienced it. And my son came to me and he was like, "What are we gonna do?" And I literally looked at him and I was like, "I don't know," because it was my first time experience a wildfire as well. I don't, they in the north of our house, they're in the south, they're sprouting up. You can't drive to San Diego. So, and my son was like, "What do you mean you don't know? You're the dad." And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't grow up in LA. I don't know. This is not an experience that I have. I'm gonna just try and figure it out as we go along. But I feel like my whole family's looking at me like, you need to know.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? But I don't, right? And then the love part, we all, as black men, it still feels weird for me to cry, especially in front of men.
I love crying.
Yeah.
It feels so good.
It does feel very relieving.
Bro, it's one of the best
It's the
things
best.
to do, brother.
And I remember.
All right, guys. Unfortunately, I cannot finish the rest of this right now, but I will leave the link to the video in the description. Go ahead and watch the rest of this. I'm probably going to watch the rest of this while I'm at work. I just wanted to bring this topic up. I saw Majors on there. I saw KevOnStage, which I have my reserves for him. I have my reserves for Kirk in the first place. But hey, this is what it is. But yeah, this was very interesting. This is very intriguing. I've learned a lot about these individuals. I know about this NLE guy, apparently. But yeah, things are just, it puts things into perspective, and I like hearing people talk about certain situations and where they are in life and how their mind works and where they are with their spirit. But I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Take it easy. Peace.